Lots happening in international news, and our foreign affairs expert, editor-in-chief for the Foreign Desk, Lisa Daftari, joins us from Los Angeles to break it all down. Welcome back, Lisa. Great to have you on again.
Great to be on with you, Jeanette. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Okay, so Lisa, as I said, lots happening. So U.S. President Donald Trump marks his 200th day back in office. That's hard to believe. As tariffs take a significant jump on dozens of countries, which take effect today. And his amended tariff plan hit some countries with higher rates, like 50% for goods from Brazil. Canada was hit with 35%. And now the economic impact of his earlier tariffs has begun to show visible harm to the U.S. economy. So what are your thoughts on these actions, Lisa?
Well, if you ask him or the head of his treasury,
Let's get
they'll
him on the
say
phone right now.
you're
We'll
right.
find out.
This is, it'll be kind of the it'll be this curve that will correct itself and then, make America great again in terms of its economy and in terms of authority on the global stage, in terms of many specific supply chains, and then dealing with certain trade partners. So we know the trade partners that have sat down with Donald Trump have seen decent deals. They have walked away with a lower bracket in terms of tariffs, and others who have not stepped up yet are dealing with the consequences, as you said, that go into effect today. So obviously the markets will respond and the economy will respond, and there's definitely been a slowdown globally. So we will have to wait and see if this is going to be this growing pains as the Trump administration has envisioned, and it will again be what he had set out to do, which is bring a lot of industries back to the United States, make the playing field fair in terms of many of our trade deals and trade partners, and to bring these partners again back to the table. So according to the Secretary of Treasury, Besant, he said, there's a line of countries that want to still come to the White House and have talks with Donald Trump regarding bringing down the tariffs, making better deals. We know the EU just compromised on a deal with Donald Trump, for lack of a better word. But we do want to see deals across the board that will benefit both sides, bring businesses back to the West, and again, reset or recalibrate the global scale in terms of the economy.
And I guess speaking of tariffs or sanctions, it's been reported that President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin have agreed in principle to meet. So no date yet has been confirmed. And as we remember, that 2-week deadline that Trump put on Putin for a ceasefire with Ukraine is upon us. So what do you think is going to happen with that deadline, Lisa?
It's scary because when you set deadlines and when you draw lines in the sand and when you make a red line, or however you want to put it, you have to act on it. And Donald Trump knows that very well. He is the master of deals and of negotiations and of threats and of ultimatums and deadlines. So yes, we are coming upon the end of the 2-week period that he gave Putin. Now recall that it was a longer period of time, and now he has shortened that to say you have 2 weeks to act, because both him and his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, have called out Vladimir Putin, saying you're just playing out the clock, you're just having talks about having more talks, and we're not going to have it. So we want to see some action. So now the good thing he's doing from a foreign policy standpoint is that sanctions are still on the table. So just the fact that Putin's coming to the table will not dampen that, or kind of take the sanctions off the table, or have them off the hook for any of those punitive measures. But at the same time, I think the Trump administration has every right to be proud of the fact that they did get Putin to at least come to the table. Now we're hoping for some sort of de-escalation in the weeks that we have been waiting for, some sort of ceasefire or some sort of off-ramp for Putin. We've actually seen an escalation in the war, which makes the case that many have made in the West that we should give more supplies to Ukraine, even though the Trump administration was hoping to end this war and not put more resources into this war. It looks like all of those options are still on the table, and we shall see what will come of a meeting, a direct meeting now between Putin and Trump. We know that his envoy has met with Putin. Nothing has come of that, but we hope that something actually concrete will come in the next week or so.
Right, and I think Putin probably doesn't respond well to threats, so it will be interesting to see what happens. And you were mentioning that the U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, I believe it is, he met with Putin,
Yes.
right? And Trump is declaring it as highly productive on his Truth Social. So it looks like it may have failed to produce any steps towards a ceasefire for now. But what other details can you share on that part of it, Lisa?
Yeah, it's interesting because in Putin's world, this was yet again a talk about having another talk. But on
Yeah.
the Trump side, the perspective is, well, we didn't come up with any concrete resolutions, or we didn't have anything quite materialize out of this particular meeting, but Steve Witkoff was basically able to warm him up, and now he's open to a meeting with Trump. So we hope that that is true, and that is in fact what is going on. That we are working towards something, and we will see something materialize in the next week as we come to the ultimatum. But as you said, Putin doesn't really respond well. He is a madman. He is a dictator. He is somebody who is looking to grow the empire. And that is that in Putin's language, his might, his power is defined by how many acres of land he has. And that is exactly what he's trying to do, is to add on to Russia, to annex, to take over Ukraine. And that's what he set out to do. Obviously, I don't think he imagined it taking quite as long as it has taken, or for it to be as bloody or as costly as it has been for the Russian side, and of course the Ukrainian side. So now we shall see. What will it take for Putin to actually think he will get a good deal out of this? What will it take? And Trump, to be fair, has set out from the beginning to say both sides have to compromise, meaning Zelensky will have to give up something, and Putin will obviously have to end this war and de-escalate as soon as possible. But we will see if the offer that Trump makes, the deal that he offers him, will be enough for this madman to end this war.
And Lisa, have you heard any details about involving Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky in these talks?
That is not clear as of yet. I believe that right now we were talking about direct talks, which would signal Putin meeting alone with Trump. Now, I think that would be, just from a strategic perspective, a better move to see him alone, have the talks, get him to at least to understand what it will take, and then to go back to Zelensky and really make him take that deal. And I think that that is what Trump has pretty much set up Zelensky to accept, to say that, listen, we're going to end this war, but you'll have to compromise and you'll have to give up. So it'll be very difficult. I think this is one of the more difficult. I know we're dealing with the Middle East, we're dealing with Gaza, we're dealing with many of these Iran regime proxies right now, and that has been the focus of our foreign policy, has really been the Middle East. But obviously this war marches on in the background and has gone on way too long. It has been, again, bloody, costly, devastating for both sides, really. And really, the missing piece here is to get Putin to agree to something that makes sense. So we shall see. All eyes are on this meeting, direct meeting, and hopefully Trump can get it done.
Yeah. Lisa, turning our attention now to Mozambique. So reports are coming out of brutal attacks led by ISIS-aligned soldiers, where they're beheading Christians, burning churches and homes. And the Middle East Media Research Institute, which is a counterterrorism research nonprofit, they're sounding the alarm of what it describes as a silent genocide taking place against Christians. And Lisa, this is absolutely terrifying and horrific.
Right. And the word silent and genocide should not go in the same sentence, particularly in today's environment, when all these social media activists and influencers are talking about a genocide, a genocide, a genocide going on in Gaza, which is not in fact true, but in fact it is going on in other parts of the world where no one is paying attention. And the slaughter of Christians in these parts of the world are in fact true. And I thank you, Jeanette, for bringing attention to this. And of course, my friends and colleagues at Memory, the independent media institute that you alluded to, which has been focused on really bringing out these stories that no one else is covering in the media, out to to the world to understand what is exactly happening. ISIS, we said ISIS is done, ISIS is gone, they're on the march, but yes, they are operating in these parts of the world, and they are fixated on churches, they are fixated on Christian communities, they are fixated on underground churches and others who practice in these predominantly Muslim areas, and obviously are targeted for their Christianity, for their faith, and for practicing their faith. And here you have the sheer numbers are unbelievable. The footage that is coming out. I also want to turn people's attention to the Druze community in Syria, another genocide that no one is paying attention to, being slaughtered to death. I mean, grandmothers and children and families just wholesale being taken out just because of their faith and because they are living under Islamist rule. Again, Syria, the government that Donald Trump and many others in the West are trying to trust and they said that they are the 2.0, the new face, and we want to trust them and believe them, but they are all either, descendants of ISIS and Al-Qaeda and others, or being supported by Iran's regime. We have other proxies operating in the area that are doing the same thing. So it's an ideology, it's not politics. We have to eradicate an ideology. We can sit down with politics, we can sit down and negotiate, but with an ideology, you cannot move the needle. And the sheer numbers, the videos, the footage that is coming out of Mozambique and other parts of the world where Christians are being slaughtered wholesale. I mean, something we must pay attention to and really underscore, highlight. Where's the UN? Where are the women's groups? Where are the Christian groups? Where are the advocacy groups? We need to pay more attention.
Terrifying for sure. Okay, so Lisa, the Associated Press is coming under fire for publishing a story which many on social media viewed as sympathetic to Hezbollah terrorists. So now we remember that the article covered the covert Israeli operation of simultaneous detonations of members' pagers and other electronic devices. We remember when that happened. So AP's story particularly focused on the members of Hezbollah and their struggle to recover from Israel's pager attack. No mention that those targeted are part of a terrorist organization, mind you. And now AP described them as, it looks like they described them as officials and fighters. So has AP responded to this backlash?
It's like opposite day every single day in the media, mainstream media, and on social media. I mean, I've been doing this for over 2 decades, and I've never had a time where you have so much of mainstream infrastructure. Now, there's always fringe. There are always people that will support terror groups. There's always people that will be sympathetic to the Iran regime or other terrorists or other murderers. But I've never seen this blind just adherence to a fake social media agenda to support terrorists, to support murderers, to support those who have blood on their hands. I'm talking about, a segment of the population that thinks they are doing what is right, thinking that they are advocating for the underdog, thinking that they're advocating for women and children and LGBTQ and all of the other marginalized groups in this world, but yet supporting the same terrorists and murderers who are targeting those marginalized groups. So it makes absolutely no sense. I mean, I deal with this every single day in the media, in social media. And of course, you have the AP and others that are complicit. I mean, just think about October 7th. How many of these mainstream media platforms actually were hiring Hamas fighters that were on and basically in on it, for lack of a better term, that went in with with Hamas, came out with Hamas, and then they sold those videos to mainstream platforms that many of us know and watch and read, and to think that is where we're getting our news. I mean, it's really horrific. That is why we rely on so many independent media personalities and platforms to get us the news, because it is really difficult to trust the mainstream media these days. Why are we shilling for Hezbollah, an absolutely murderous a terrorist platform that has American blood on its hands, has European blood on its hands, has Lebanese blood on its hands, killing, of course, Israeli blood on its hands, and we are sitting here and applauding them and giving them a platform, treating them like a sovereign government when they're not. They're a cancerous cell within Lebanon. The Lebanese don't even know what to do with them. So yes, it is very, very awkward to see a media platform that is trusted, that is read, well read across the world, shilling for a terrorist organization.
Lisa Daftari of the Foreign Desk, thanks so much for joining me today from Los Angeles. Appreciate having you on, as always.
Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you for having me.